Hi YouTube, in this video I'm going to explain what it's like to be an HGV driver and why not to go into the HGV business. So, ever since I was young I've always wanted to be a lorry driver. A few years ago I was out of work at the time and I went on this apprenticeship and they paid for my theory, they paid for my test and they paid for my CPC. So in a way I got it all for free, all my qualifications, all my paperwork, got it all for free. So I heard that there was a few jobs going at B&M delivering. My uncle worked there at the time and he just said, it's a foot in the door, go for it. So I rang B&M up. Inside B&M they have another company called Central Supplies, which is in Dudley, West Midlands, where I live, and I asked them if there was any jobs for a new pass and they said yeah, come along for an interview. So I went along for an interview and I was rushed through the interview and they said, here's your keys, here's your lorry, you start today, go ahead. They didn't even give me any uniform, right? Me being me, my first job, I thought, great, I've got the job, go for it, right? If a company rushes you through an interview and they say, here's your keys, here's your lorry, all you've got to say is, keep your keys, keep your lorry and go, right? Don't get rushed through an interview and don't get rushed through a company that just want drivers and want drivers and want drivers, all right? Because it was my first job, I thought, great, let's go for it. Buzzing, I'm in there, alright? So I was delivering for B&M and I was delivering yogurts, milk, you know what you see on the shelves at B&M, all your cold, fresh stuff for B&M. So I was delivering in 7.5 tonners, then I worked up to 12 tonners, then 15 tonners, then I was in the 18 tonners. So I wasn't just having one lorry, I was in different lorries on different days, and they was all different and they was battered, bruised, used and abused. I was made to drive lorries that had bald tyres, lights wasn't working, there wasn't number plates on half the lorries, they was dirty, doors didn't close, the chassis underneath was all rusted and corroded. And because I refused some of the lorries, the company basically said, they said to me, they was like, well, go then, we'll get somebody else in. So I thought, it's a job, I've got to stay in it, I've got to stay in it. So I felt a bit pressured because I'm young and I felt like I was pressured to just drive these lorries that wasn't even roadworthy, and I just felt a bit intimidated, so that's why I stuck it. So I stuck to this B&M delivering job for 4 weeks. It was a Christmas job, so we was very busy. I was doing about 7 or 8 drops a day. Now the problem is with shop work is that you're driving to your destination, right? Great. You've got to drive to your destination, you've got to sort paperwork out, you've got to knock on the shop door, you've got to ask if there's anybody free to unload you, and then half the staff at the shops will say, well, we're not insured to get on the back of your truck, so then they have to reverse you onto a bay, which half of them don't even know what they're doing, so you end up smashing into something, and well, it's just an headache. So then you have to unload your lorry and then get paperwork again and then put in your sat-nav your next destination. There's so much traffic on the road, you don't know when you're going to get to your destination and you don't even know if you're going to be going home. So bear that in mind, there is a hell of a lot of traffic on the road. There's road closures you have to deal with, there's low bridges. The low bridges was the one for me because in some of the town centres there was only one way in, one way out, and the low bridges was mainly in the town centres, you know, due to canals and trains and whatever. So that was a bit of an headache. So yeah, I was with B&M for 4 weeks and they said to me, they says, you've got to stay overnight, you've got to pay for the services, you've got to pay for, you know, anything that you do at the services, you know, such as your washrooms or anything that you have to eat. So I refused that and I says, no, I says, I'm working for you, you've got to pay it. The company didn't pay it, so they got rid of me. So they got another driver in. So don't work for companies like that, because they're not bothered. They're not bothered about the driver. All they're bothered about is the money. They're not bothered, right? So I come out of the B&M delivering job, and then went on to steel work. I went on to agency work, and I was on agency work for 2 weeks solid, and I did 14 days, and I did 12-hour days for 14 days, and at the end of my 14 days, all I got was £300. Now, I was driving steel lorries, I was driving 18-tonners, and I was driving big steel coils on the back of a flatbed truck. Brand new lorries. The company that I worked for was Tubes in Dudley, West Midlands. And my other uncle, he's an Hgv driver, and he's in the steel business, so I thought, great, you know, let's get a bit of an advice off him. He told me, don't go into it, don't do it. So me being me, I went into it, and I didn't listen to anyone. I just went there, and boom, went into it, and started driving for Tubes. So I was delivering steel coil up in Glasgow, Liverpool, Manchester, Bristol, Swansea, and a few around London, and a few around Wales. The good thing about steel work is that the forklift drivers at the factories, they will just come and take the steel off with the forklift. All you have to do is under the straps, do your paperwork. You haven't got to load or unload, which is great. So steel work I did enjoy better than the shop work. But working for an agency, I didn't really know what to expect, so I just went along with the flow, and I ended up working from 4 in the morning, and I didn't get back home till 7 at night. Didn't have no family life, didn't have no social life, didn't have much sleep, I wasn't eating properly. So at the end of the 2 weeks, on my last day, I fell asleep behind the wheel. I was coming back from Bristol, and I had 12 ton of steel on the back of my lorry. I pulled over at the services because I fell asleep. I was drifting on the hard shoulder into the second lane, into the slow lane, into the hard shoulder again. And I was just so drowsy and so miserable and just so out of it at the wheel, I pulled over at the services. So next thing what happens is the manager of the company rings me up and says, get back on the road, you've got deliveries to do. So I was like, look, I've just fell asleep behind the wheel. What do you want me to do? Kill someone? And he was like, I don't bother. I'm not bothered what you're going to do. Just get back on the road. So I stayed at the services for about 2 hours, had a little bit of a kip, and then went back to the yard. The manager was then giving it all this and all that and saying, you know, we've lost money because of you, this, that, the other. So I said, here's your keys, here's your lorry, fuck off. That's what I said. I went to the doctor the day after, and the doctors put me on the sick due to anxiety and depression, and the lorry driving is what's caused it. Not in the place I wanted to be, not in the situation I wanted to be, but that is what lorry driving has done to me. I was working very, very long hours. I was having weekends off. I was working, you know, from 4 in the morning, wasn't getting back home till 7 at night. You work that out. Family life, there's no family life. You have your tea, you go to bed, you wake up. I'm not one for breakfast, so I didn't really have breakfast, and then straight on it again. The thing you have to deal with HGV being on the road is it's not very good pay. The pay is absolute bullshit. It's crap. There is a lot of responsibility. There's too much traffic on the road. And if you're one like me and you've got road rage, someone only has to cut me up and I'll get out the car and I'm up the windows, smashing the windows, right? So that is what my road rage is like. So if you're one for road rage and you're one for not having good attitude with traffic, then please do not go into it. right? There is a hell of a lot. There is a hell of a lot of idiots on the road that you have to deal with. There's too much responsibility. The hours are too long. The pay's, even if I got paid £1 million an hour, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it again. I like being out on the road. I like being on my own. I like going out and waking up in the morning and going out and facing a new challenge and seeing different views and seeing different parts of the country. I enjoyed that. But the managers at the companies, all they're bothered about is the money. They're not bothered about you taking a break. They're not bothered about you being safe on the road. They're not bothered about what their lorry looks like, what kind of state and condition their lorry is in. They're not bothered. All they're bothered about is making money. They're not bothered about your safety. They're not bothered about you as an individual. So if you are thinking of going into the HGV business, please, please, please think again. Look on YouTube at some videos and just do your research about HGV driving. There is a lot of people that are going into HGV driving now, and within 2 to 3 weeks, they're either on the sick like me, or they're going into another job because they just can't deal with it. Like I say, there's too much traffic, there's too many idiots on the road, their hours are too long, you've got no social life, you're miserable, you're depressed, you're always tired. No good. It is really no good. I'm only 27 years of age, I do not want that in my life. So HGV driving is good because you're out on your own, but managers will talk to you like crap. If you do an extra few hours, or you don't get back to your yard till later than one expected, the managers, they won't say thank you for staying over, or thank you nothing. They won't say fuck all. So they are really bad people to work for. There is not many HGV companies that are good to work for. But the good ones are very, very, very hard to get into. But for me, it didn't work for me. I've still got my licence. I've still got my paperwork. I've still got my qualifications. In the future, I may still want to do it in the future. But for now, it's a no-go for me. Like I say, there's too much responsibility. And it's just too much. It's just too much for an individual to focus on being an HGV driver. So please, please, please consider your thoughts and your choices of being an HGV driver, and please do your research for the HGV industry. Thank you.